A doctor, facing a crisis in his marriage, finds a young injured woman lying by the side of the road. Without a second thought, he rescues her and performs an emergency surgery that saves her life. Upon arriving home, feeling empty and marked by the absence of his wife and daughters, he turns on the TV for distraction. What he sees shocks him, the photo of the young woman in the news, as a desperate father pleads for information about his missing daughter. Fate has just revealed something that deeply touches him. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is the Linda's Stories channel. I hope you enjoy this story. Dr. John was accustomed to long nights on call at the hospital, but nothing prepared him for the emotional storm he faced at home. Married for 15 years to Amélie, father of 2 lovely daughters, Lydia, 12, and Vivian, 8, he found himself increasingly distant from his family. The arguments with Amélie were becoming more frequent and intense, leaving a trail of hurt and resentment. John was a respected surgeon, known for his skill and dedication to his patients. At the hospital, he felt in control, able to solve any problem. But at home, he felt powerless in the face of conflicts that seemed to have no solution. Amélie, once his partner and confidant, now seemed a stranger. The girls, sensing the tension between their parents, became increasingly quiet and withdrawn. On a particularly cold morning, John left home earlier than usual. The previous night had been marked by yet another heated argument with Amélie. The harsh words exchanged still echoed in his mind as he drove to the hospital. Traffic was slow, and he found himself stopped at a traffic light near a small grove. His eyes wandered over the frozen landscape, seeking a distraction from his turbulent thoughts. It was then that he noticed something unusual. At the edge of the woods, partially hidden by the vegetation, there was a shape that seemed to be a person lying down. John frowned, concerned. It was too cold for someone to be sleeping outside. The traffic light turned green, and the cars behind him started honking impatiently. But something inside him prevented him from just driving away. Following an impulse, John maneuvered his car onto the shoulder and got out, ignoring the irritated looks from other drivers. He walked quickly towards the woods, his heart racing. As he got closer, he realized it wasn't an adult, but a child, a girl apparently. Upon reaching her, John was horrified. The girl, who couldn't have been more than 10 years old, was severely injured. Her arms and face were covered in cuts and bruises, and her clothes were torn and dirty. She was unconscious, her breathing weak and irregular. Without hesitation, John picked her up in his arms and ran back to the car. Carefully, he placed her in the back seat and sped towards the hospital, activating the emergency siren he kept in the vehicle for such situations. Throughout the entire drive, he alternated between looking at the road and checking on the girl through the rearview mirror, praying that she would hold on. Upon arriving at the hospital, John entered carrying the girl in his arms, shouting for help. Immediately, an emergency team mobilized. The girl was rushed to the examination room, where John and his colleagues worked frantically to stabilize her. The examinations revealed that the situation was even more severe than it had seemed. The girl had internal bleeding and needed immediate surgery. John, being the most experienced surgeon present, took the lead in the operation. For hours, he and his team fought to save the life of the little stranger. Finally, after an intense and delicate surgery, the girl was stable. John left the operating room exhausted but relieved. While washing up, he couldn't stop thinking about the girl. Who was she? How had she ended up in that situation? Where were her parents? The hospital staff immediately began the process of trying to identify the girl, but to no avail. She wasn't carrying any documents, and her condition didn't allow for questioning. John spent the remainder of his shift regularly checking on her, feeling an inexplicable connection with the young patient. When he finally arrived home, John was physically and emotionally exhausted. The house was silent and empty. On the kitchen table, he found a letter from Amélie. She said she would spend a few days at her mother's house with the girls, that she needed some time to think. John felt the weight of those words like a punch in the stomach. Without the energy to do anything else, he made a quick sandwich and threw himself on the couch, turning on the TV to watch the evening news. It was then that he saw something that made him choke on his sandwich. On the screen, a desperate man was pleading for information about his missing daughter. Next to him, his wife stood, extremely shaken. The man, introduced as Laurent, described his daughter Camille as the most precious thing in his life, and begged for any clue that could lead to her whereabouts. When Camille's photo appeared on the screen, John almost fell off the couch. It was her, the girl he had saved that morning. Without wasting a second, he picked up the phone and called the number displayed on the screen. With a voice trembling with emotion, John explained everything that had happened. On the other side of the line, a cry of relief and gratitude was heard. Laurent and his wife promised to go to the hospital immediately. The next day, during his shift, John found Laurent in Camille's room. The girl was recovering well, although still unconscious. Laurent, with tears in his eyes, hugged John tightly, thanking him repeatedly for saving his daughter's life. As they talked, Laurent shared with John the anguish of almost losing Camille and how it made him realize how precious his family was. His words deeply touched John, making him reflect on his own situation. "Doctor," said Laurent, holding his daughter's hand, "never underestimate the power of family love. It is what keeps us strong in the most difficult moments. Camille is my light, my reason to live. Almost losing her made me see how much I love her, how much I need her." John listened attentively, feeling each word resonate in his heart. He thought about Amélie, Lydia, and Vivian. He realized that, amidst the everyday arguments and problems, he had forgotten the love that united them, how important they were to one another. In that moment, John made a decision. As soon as his shift ended, he would go find his family. He couldn't give up on them. He couldn't let the love they had get lost amidst the difficulties. After his shift, John drove to his mother-in-law's house, where Amélie and the girls were staying. Upon arriving, he found Amélie in the garden. She seemed surprised and a little apprehensive about his presence. "Amélie," he began, his voice laden with emotion, "I know we've been through some tough times, but I can't lose you. You and the girls are my family, my life. I want to fight for us. I want us to be happy together again." Amélie looked at him for a long moment, tears forming in her eyes. "Oh, John," she finally said, "I want this too. I missed you so much." They embraced, years of tension and hurt dissolving in that moment of reconciliation. Lydia and Vivian, hearing their father's voice, ran outside and joined the hug, forming a knot of love and renewed hope. In the days that followed, John and Amélie worked together to rebuild their relationship. They began to have open and honest conversations about their feelings and concerns. They established new habits, such as family dinners without distractions and weekend outings. John made a conscious effort to better balance his work and family life, dedicating more time and attention to his daughters and wife. The process was not easy. There were moments of doubt and relapses into old patterns. But with each obstacle, they reminded themselves of the love that united them and the decision they had made to fight for their family. Meanwhile, Camille was recovering in the hospital. John visited her regularly, developing a special affection for the girl who, unknowingly, had been the catalyst for the transformation in his own life. Laurent and his family had become close friends with the John family, a constant reminder of the importance of family ties. Years passed, and John's family thrived. Lydia and Vivian grew up happy and secure, knowing they could count on their parents' love and support. Amélie and John rediscovered the passion and companionship that had united them at the beginning of their relationship. On a quiet evening, sitting on the porch of their house with Amélie by his side, John reflected on the journey they had travelled. "You know," he said softly, "that morning when I found Camille, it was the day that changed everything. It was when I realised I couldn't lose you all." Amélie gently squeezed his hand. "Sometimes, We need a jolt to make us see what really matters, she replied. John nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. The decision to fight for his family had undoubtedly been the best choice of his life. Looking into the room where Lydia and Vivian laughed while watching a movie, he smiled, knowing that the true treasure of life was there, in that home full of love and understanding that they had built together. John and his family's story serves as a powerful reminder that family love is a force capable of overcoming the greatest challenges. Sometimes it takes an unexpected event to make us see what really matters in life. The courage to face problems, the willingness to change, and the commitment to those we love can transform even the most difficult situations into opportunities for growth and renewal. In the end, the lesson John learned, and that we can all take with us, is that family is a precious asset, deserving of our effort, dedication, and unconditional love. When we choose to fight for our loved ones, we are, in fact, choosing to fight for our own happiness and fulfillment. And that, without a doubt, is a battle worth fighting. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.